Hey everyone, Wiggles here. In this video, I'm going to go over all the races you can use in Baldur's Gate 3. Some are a bit more obviously better with certain classes, but honestly, any race can be used for any class. Races are one of the most important things you can choose in Baldur's Gate 3 since it's unchangeable. You can always change your class later or even your background. I'm going to go over each race in a basic level to help give you a better understanding of which race to play in the game. So to start, go to your custom character, go to race, and first off we have elves. Elves have a base racial speed of 9 meters per turn. They also get elven weapon training, which allows them to use more weapons like long swords, short bows, and long bows. You can see in the dark for up to 12 meters, and you gain advantage on saving throws against being charmed. And magic can't put you to sleep. In the elf race, you also can choose a sub-race. So if you choose high elf, you get this really great cantrip. Firebolt's a single target spell, and you can use this as many times as you want. It doesn't take a spell slot, and this is a great single target spell just as you progress the game. Alternatively, you could sacrifice that cantrip for more movement speed. If you choose Wood Elf, you can go up to 10.5 meters per turn just based on your race. It's really great for some classes that need to get up and close, or maybe some that need to run away from the enemies constantly. Next we have the Tieflings. Tieflings also have a base racial speed of 9 meters per turn. They can also see in the dark for 12 meters as well, but they have a resistance to fire damage, taking only half of the damage from it. They also have sub-races you can choose from. You can choose to be the Asmodeus Tiefling, which gives them this great cantrip that they can only use once until long rest. It gives you a light of 9 meters, and it deals 1 to 8 fire damage when thrown. Is the Mephistopheles Tiefling, I'm butchering that. They have a unique one where you can have a mage hand. So if you're a class that can't use mage hand, this is very handy. Or you could do the Zariel Tiefling, which you can cast a cantrip that gives you advantage on intimidation and performance checks. I realize as I'm making this video, I'm going to be butchering how to say many of these sub-races, so apologies on that. Please leave a comment down below on how you actually pronounce them. Next we have the Drow. Every Drow race gets the cantrip Dancing Light, which illuminates a 9 meter radius around you. They have the same 9 meter base racial speed. You also get weapon proficiencies with a rapier, a short sword, and a hand crossbow. They have superior dark vision where they can see double the amount of the other classes, up to 24 meters. And you gain an advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and you can't be put to sleep. It doesn't matter which subrace you choose, they don't have any difference. So this is completely up to you with the story and the lore that you want to have in your game. Humans are unique to the other races as they don't have any subraces. You get the classic 9 meters per turn movement speed, and you gain weapon proficiency in spears, pikes, halberds, and glaives, and armor proficiency in light armor and shields. This is especially helpful for classes that don't get a light armor or shields proficiency when you have the item that's just perfect for that class. As a human, you can also select a skill to be proficient in, and you also have a carrying capacity increased by 1/4. So next up we have Githyanki. Githyanki also don't have any subraces included. But as a Githyanki, you get this Astral Knowledge spell that you can use once every long rest to gain proficiency in a skill of a chosen ability. All Githyankis can also use a mage hand, which can be pretty useful in certain combat scenarios. And they have the classic 9 meters per turn movement speed with armor proficiency in light and medium armor, as well as a proficiency in short swords, long swords, and great swords. Next up is Dwarves. Dwarves can't move as far as the other classes so far, as they can only move 7.5 meters per turn, but they get more proficiencies with different weapons like battle axes, hand axes, light hammers, and a warhammer. They can see in the dark up to 12 meters, and they have an advantage on saving throws against poison, and you also have resistance to poison damage. As a dwarf, you can choose certain subraces. As a gold dwarf, your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 every time you gain another level. This can be really useful for builds revolving around tanking. You can also be a shield dwarf, where shields have armor proficiency in light and medium armor, or you can be a Jorgar, where you can see in the dark up to 24 meters, and you have advantage on saving throws against illusions and being charmed or paralyzed. Moving on to the half-elf. The half-elf has a 9 meter per turn movement speed. You gain a weapon proficiency in spears, pikes, halberds, and glaives, and an armor proficiency in light armor and shields, and you can see in the dark up to 12 meters. And just like the other elf races, you get Fey Ancestry, where you get an advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. So they pretty much get half of the human stuff and half of the elf stuff. But the unique thing about half-elves is that they have different sub-races. So the high half-elf is similar to the high elf, where you get this firebolt spell, which like I said is a very useful single target spell. You could be a wood half elf to get that 1.5 extra movement speed, or you could be a drow half elf. Try to say that 10 times fast. Next up is the halfling. Halflings have a 7.5 movement speed per turn, so just like the dwarf, a little bit less than the other races. Although they get this awesome trait called lucky. When you roll 1 for an attack roll, or ability check, or a saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. And you also gain brave, which you have an advantage on saving throws against being frightened. You can be a lightfoot halfling, which gives you an advantage on stealth checks, which is really useful for sneaking around in the game. Or you could be a strongheart halfling, where you have an advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage. Moving on to the gnome. Gnomes, just like the other two, have a lower movement speed with 7.5 meters per turn, but with gnome cunning, you also have an advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. As for the subraces, you can be a rock gnome, which allows you to see in the dark up to 12 meters, and you can add twice your proficiency bonus to history checks. Moreover, you could be a forest gnome, which gives you speak with animals. You can do this once every long rest, and you can see in the dark up to 12 meters as well. Or you could be a deep gnome, which you can see in the dark up to 24 meters, and you have an advantage on stealth checks. Next up is the Dragonborn. This is a really unique race. So as a Dragonborn, you have the classic 9 meters per turn movement speed, but the reason why it's so unique is when you go to the subrace menu, there's a black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, and white dragon you can be. So as for the black dragon, you can have acid breath and you gain a resistance to acid damage. With the blue dragon, you have lightning breath and you gain resistance to lightning damage. With the brass dragon, you have fire breath and you gain resistance to fire damage. With the bronze dragon, you have lightning breath and resistance to lightning damage. With the copper dragon, you have acid breath and resistance to acid damage. With the gold dragon, you have fire breath and resistance to fire damage. With the green dragon, you have poison breath and resistance to poison damage. With the red dragon, you have fire breath and resistance to fire damage. With the silver dragon, you have frost breath with the resistance to cold damage. And with the white dragon, you also have frost breath with the resistance to cold damage. Lastly on this list, we have the Half-Orc. Half-Orcs are one of the best brute type race in this game. They can move 9 meters per turn. They can see in the dark up to 12 meters. If your character reaches 0 hit points, you regain 1 hit point instead of becoming downed, which is really great for those really difficult fights in the game. And with savage attacks, whenever you land a critical with a melee weapon attack, you deal an extra dice of weapon damage. As for which one to choose, it's completely up to you. You might be rolling as a barbarian right off the bat, but maybe halfway through your story, you're going to choose to end up being a wizard. Sure, there's different races better for different builds in this game, but it's completely up to you on what kind of story you want to unfold in Baldur's Gate 3. This game is really rich in content and experiences that you have in this game, so whatever race you choose will be with you until the end. No matter what race you choose, there's something there for everybody, and I think you're going to be really happy with any choice in the game. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. I hope it helped you out. If it did, please give it a like to tell YouTube that it's a good video so it can be shown to more people like yourself, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you're looking for a good class review video as well, check out my guide on the classes. I just made this video as well. And if you're just starting your adventure and you want to find all the origin characters when you start the game, I made this in-depth guide that's no fluff, no extra stuff, and it just shows you exactly where you need to go to find them. Have a great day. Cheers.